They say Oak Island and its hidden treasure down in the money pit is cursed, but is it also haunted? Welcome to Friday Night Ghost Frights from Haunted Road Media. I'm author and ghost historian Mike Ricksecker. Explore with us. Oak Island in Mahone Bay, just off the coast of Nova Scotia, has been the focus of treasure hunters for over 200 years. They say it's cursed, it's proven to be deadly, and it's also haunted. A little background first. In 1795, young Daniel McGinnis saw strange lights in the wood on Oak Island, which was offshore from his parents' house. Was this the first sighting of supernatural activity on the island? Perhaps. McGinnis enlisted the help of his friends John Smith and Anthony Vaughn to row over to the island and investigate. They found no one there. What they did find was a strange depression in the ground about 13 feet in diameter, above which hung a block and tackle from a tree limb above the depression. With a history of pirates having frequented the area, and even the infamous Captain Kidd admitting to burying a stash of riches in the area, the boys were back out on the island the next day excavating the site. At 2 feet, they found a layer of flagstone, and at 10, a set of wooden timbers. While the extensive excavation was a bit much for the boys, they reformed in 1803 with Simeon Linz and others to form the Onslow Company and dig what became known as the Money Pit. Every 10 feet up to 90, they found additional wooden platforms, but at 90, they found something else, a stone slab with cryptic writing. The translation has always been debated and the stone has been lost to time, but one widely accepted translation says, 40 feet below 2 million pounds are buried. The crew of the Onslow Company continued to dig, but it was only 8 feet later that they discovered another wooden platform. Surprised but exhausted, one of the workers decided to pry apart the timbers to make sure they weren't just sitting on the treasure. None was in sight, so they retired for the day. When they awoke the next morning, they discovered their pit filled with water. The problems with the water, which was later determined to be from hidden flood tunnels meant to booby-trap the pit, proved to be too much for the Onslow Company and future treasure seekers. Some later searchers tried to access the pit from side tunnels, only to be met with the same fate of the floodwater. Things took a turn for the worse in 1861 when the Oak Island curse took its first victim. A boiler exploded, fatally scalding one man while injuring several others of the Oak Island Association. The second was Maynard Kaiser with the Oak Island Treasure Company in 1897. While being hoisted out of the shaft, the ascension rope broke and Kaiser fell back into the pit to his death. His body was never recovered, and rumors began percolating that the island was truly cursed. The worst tragedy was that of the Westall family in 1965. Robert Westall and his son Bobby Jr. were digging a new shaft on one of the beaches when Robert leaned over the shaft and lost consciousness when he was hit with a cloud of noxious gas. He fell into the shaft and Bobby dove in after him. While trying to save his father, Bobby Jr. also succumbed to the noxious fumes, as did Cyril Hiltz and Carl Greaser, who tried to assist. With 6 victims claimed, the curse of Oak Island took on a new form, stating that a 7th must die before the island's secrets are revealed. Given the tragedies, Robert Westall's daughter, Lee Lamb, believes there is a malevolence on the island. Today, the treasure hunt continues with the Lagina brothers, Rick and Marty, in cooperation with Dan and Dave Blankenship, highlighted on the History Channel's show The Curse of Oak Island. But what of the hauntings of Oak Island? What spirits may be lingering in the woods and on the beaches? The first may be that of the strange lights Daniel McGinnis saw on Oak Island in 1795 from his home across the water. But that certainly wasn't the last. In a 1955 letter to M.R. Chappell, who was heading up an expedition at that time, Florence Eisenhower, granddaughter of Anthony Graves, who headed up the Oak Island Association in the 1860s, related a story from her Uncle William on his deathbed. "I'm a dying man, and I would not tell a lie about it, that I was out in my boat one evening lobster spearing on the north side of the island when I saw a figure of a man sitting beside twin trees. He had long white whiskers. He called to me saying, 'Come here, and I will give you all the gold you can carry.' Her uncle was so frightened he rode home as fast as he could." Florence also related a story from her mother that near a big mysterious pile of rocks in the yard of the Graves homestead, she saw what resembled a slick little colt that disappeared into a stone wall near the house. In the early 1940s, it was young Peggy Adams who saw unusual people on the island. Her family were caretakers in the winter for the Hedden and Hamilton expedition. Well, one morning she came running into the house, exclaiming and gesturing towards Smith's Cove. "There's a crowd of people coming up from the shore." From the description Peggy gave, her mother, Charlotte, later deduced that these were British soldiers. A search of the area in the snow revealed no footprints at the cove. There was another time, the day after Easter one year, in which Peggy came running inside crying after being out playing. She told her mother, "There's 3 big men down there. There's one sitting on the wharf down there that looks like Luther, the big man in the Mandrake comic strip. There's another one with funny looking clothes on, and there's another with a big patch on his eye." Her father went to go have a look, but no one was there. Her mother maintained that they never told any of their children of the pirate legends of Oak Island, nor that everyone thought the island was haunted. Dan Hinsky, who assists with the current excavations on Oak Island, began his tenure there in the 1970s with Dan Blankenship's expedition. He's admitted to seeing ghosts, demons, and other strange occurrences on the island, including one incident in which he was so frightened he stripped on all of his clothes and swam back to the mainland. During the 70s, in which Hinsky was helping with Borehole X10, he was experiencing frequent nightmares and felt that he became possessed by a long-dead priest. There are pirate legends out there that to guard a treasure, the pirates would murder someone at the treasure location so that the ghost of the murdered would guard the treasure. In this case, Hinsky believes that the pirates murdered a priest at the treasure location on Oak Island, his throat cut, and he possessed Dan to let him experience his death and tell the story. Then there's Marty Lagina, who heads up the current expedition with his brother Rick. Marty doesn't believe in the curse or in things paranormal, but there was one time where he did experience something unusual on Oak Island. He decided to go walking out on the island one night when he heard a blood-curdling scream. While his mind tried to rationalize that this could have been an animal, even though there really aren't any animals on Oak Island that could make such a scream, he suddenly became very spooked. The hair stood up on the back of his neck and he felt like he was in danger. Marty immediately jumped into his car and roared off down the road, away from whatever had just frightened him on haunted Oak Island. Thank you for watching Friday Night Ghost Frights. Please go ahead and check out our other ghost story videos off on the side. I'm Mike Ricksecker. Until next Friday night.